So yeah, Chainsaw Man. If you didn't know, the newest sensation across America. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, it's cool, man. I remember Chainsaw Man just being this thing, this concept from a manga that my friends would tell me. I think in high school, man, or even or whatever college ever, and just people going about like, yeah, there's this guy who turns into chainsaws, and for a second you're just there and you're like, kind of ran out of ideas, don't you think? But it, it it really takes base on a lot of inspirations and something that I've come to admire from the creator of Chainsaw Man. I don't actually have names for you, but the guy Fujimoto Sensei, I guess that's his name. Uh, the guy is the one who worked on Look Back. That's that other animated film that I guess took years to animate because it had all these detail work and all this done. And it just comes to show how steep or serious someone can get to how very intense and creative and wild and expressive someone can be. And there really is that fine line between the best of us, uh, and to see that come into the screen, blown up, a with more of a budget, is always nice to see. I think about times when like My Hero Academia comes around with this anime, and Bone Studio gets to work with those early choppy animations, but all of it makes sense at the very end. We know where the budget is going to, and not unlike this, you do have those few moments where things look a little wonky, yes, and some might think that is due to the 3D art of nature of this film, and you're actually 100% right, because I saw this in IMAX and it looked cool. It looked great. But I did realize that the lines on the characters were a little dark sometimes, or a little blurry, and I wonder if that was an interesting choice or if that was just a movie choice. Sometimes they switch it up their art style a bit because they have more of a budget. But then I saw it again in 3D, and dudes, why have I've always wondered why we don't do this, but anime in 3D is prime, like right, it's prime, dude. Because if you really think about it, those really dark and bolden lines make the characters pop out even more from the backgrounds. And now that we've been incorporating more of a 3D generated art in anime, and you see it more and more in the anime films, they just pop off the screen. And it made this film a lot more, like, to me, enjoyable. I would say that is the premium official way to watch this film in 3D. And yeah, it's sort of, you sort of forget that it's in 3D, but that's how really well done it is, that it just blends in so well with the action and the moments, and when the characters are standing in front of like beautiful landscapes, they actually pop out in front of them. And dude, it's really, really cool. One of my biggest gripes is gonna be that in Universal Studios Hollywood, they actually had the Chainsaw Man promotional for the Halloween Horror Nights, but it's called Chainsaw Man 4D in Japan. But they did not have, got an itch in my back. They did not have the 3D technology, which they actually have access to, and I do not understand why they did not have that. Now it makes a lot more sense as to why there was that 3D push for Chainsaw Man, and seeing how they were able to get that 3D animation, like, not as on point as something like Demon Slayer, but so on point that with the 3D visuals, 3D glasses visuals, it really does a lot for everything. And yeah, so if you're gonna go watch it, I highly recommend 3D glasses all the way. Very cool. So, why does people like Chainsaw Man? Why chainsaws? Chainsaws, huh? Chainsaw Man is essentially Wolverine. And I've thought about this for a long time, okay? It's like a teenage brat, a teenage bastard brat, and you put him in Boy Meets World scenario. But world as we know it nowadays, not as pacified as one would think. Clearly, we've followed Denji's journey for a while now, and we've seen him get thrown up in his mouth. That happens. And we've seen him kind of evolve as a single cell being, right? Kind of just like focus on one object to kind of expanding his horizons. Whether or not those horizons are, like great is another conversation. But just the idea that this guy is learning, growing. First it was food, and then it was, company, and now it's like more of a like a direct relationship is where we're at with his brain cells. And honestly, it's like seeing mankind grow, evolve, So if you really think about it, we've been watching this kid go through stages of like human evolution, which is ironic because the whole shtick of it is that everybody wants Denji's heart, aka the Chainsaw Devil's heart. So when people come looking and looking for that, things get a little hectic. And for the most part, one can handle a few, interactions and walk away unscathed, give or take, right? Should see the other guy. But it's when they start sending people who are able to attack you on an emotional level. Like a wise man once said, this is where the fun begins. So I called it. I'm just the way my brain works, and the way the way story writing works, and just what would help create a character and lessons learned and history and blah 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 life lessons. I called it from the beginning. For record, I do have fans that are super into Chainsaw Man. The one that I went with is the one that took me to go watch Look Back. They were like crying in the middle of that movie, and I was like, wow, this really means something to you. Good stuff. So thinking about all of that, when someone comes after Denji and is like, yo man, you're kind of cool. Yo man, we should hang out. And hanging out becomes getting growth, attachment. They say the best way to get close to someone is to spend time with them naturally. Henceforth, why time is the most valuable currency that anyone can ever have. And we see Denji start to kind of realize that there is a whole big world out there. Boy meets world, boy meets girl. Denji meets Makima. He's like, wow, the idol, the top tier, whatever it is. And then boy meets world, going, wow, there's a lot of interesting people out here, and they're kind of cool. Unless, like most things, Darwin's law does stand the test of time. Anything wrong, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And sometimes in relationships, that's a misspoken word. Sometimes that's a gesture. Sometimes that is just a moment of like an action, right? Like, oh, you forgot my birthday. You forgot, and then you write a song about it. And it's a big world out there. It really, really is. So you can't really take anything super personal like in general, right? More now in these days that we are super highly internetly connected with each other, but somehow that has made us more distant in terms of not going deeper than just the surface internet tool level. And when you do find someone, or when you think you find someone who really gets you, or at the at the best of times can stand the worst of you, then that means something. That creates a sort of safe place, a home, if you will, for someone to be able to open up, let loose, dance around, and swim naked in a pool together. And yeah, that's the idea. That when you're exposing yourself to such an emotional level, somewhere deeper somewhere deeper than just skin, you 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 let go. You're vulnerable. You open up, and that is the way to the heart, Chainsaw Man's heart. So it's interesting, quote unquote funny, to think about how, oh, this anime had someone throw up in someone's mouth. Ha 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 ha, laugh laugh. It's such a interesting anime. And I know that brings a certain type of crowd, certain type of people. I think about the Rick and Morty Szechuan sauce escapade when McDonald's was having that promotion, no material, and you see the amount of people that really come out thinking that this means something, or this is something more than it really should be. And to an extent, sometimes it really is. You never really know. Maybe somehow, for some Jesus known reason, that poor gentleman, minded gentleman, felt such a huge affection that he needed to know what Szechuan sauce tasted like, just so he can relate to Dan Herman, or whatever the creator is of Rick and Morty. And that leads to that. But yeah, I don't know, I kind of went off on a tangent with that one. But the idea that just putting yourself out there, letting that go, and knowing that you can be hurt. Oh, okay, yeah. Knowing that you can be hurt because you're exposing a certain part of yourself that not many people are able to see, or not many people are interested in seeing. So to think again, going back to everything, to think a bit again about how the universe thought it was funny, or at least the circles that I know about thought it was funny that, oh, ha ha ha, Chainsaw Man gets throw up in his mouth and all that. But I took that differently. I took that as a note of like, yes, we can do this basic ass fan service that, we all grew up on. I pretty sure I grew up on that. But they decided, the artist, the character, Fujimoto, I guess Sensei, I'm keeping going with that name, decided to write a different plot point, something to throw us all off. That, yes, wow, these things are available and these things are accessible to certain people or certain, circles or whatever. It is still not everything, right? It's not perfect. It's still a choice at the end of the day. And like, got it. And like the choice that Denji had at that moment is not the same choice that Denji had the next day. And for whatever reason that may be, but that is a lesson learned from a situation. and understanding that that kind of angle was what Chainsaw Man could be really got me like excited. And yeah, it really is that pretty intense. So TLDR, careful who you trust at all times. I know Denji is like very like puppy dog guy, and that maybe that's his whole shtick. He has the Pochita spirit inside of him, so he's like what's the term? Golden retriever boyfriend mindset. And yeah, that's why Makima's very like dog boy, yes. And while there is a place, a time, and everything for that, right? You know, certain people are into that, and that's super cool and super great. But obviously, you you wouldn't know that unless they actually were open to showing you that or comfortable with your presence and X amount of things. So it it really can get that interesting. And to think that this anime really brings everything to the forefront, to the table, and we can either as a society look at it and be like, ha ha ha, Chainsaw Man, he's basically Wolverine with the chainsaws, except that, and he regenerates too, except that he's more of a youngster and he's a pervert and he's funny and he's a dummy, so you can't blame him for just wanting to be a basic instinct human being that wants to procreate and make love to, or love Makima, make love to the Makima, whatever, wherever his intentions will lie from there. The kid is learning, the kid is growing, the kid is there to experience life, and we're all along for the journey. Granted, yes, he has more of a supernatural life, and everything that happens is fantastical, including our friend the Shark Man, which shout out to again to the masterful writing that you start this movie with this annoying, quote unquote, annoying side character, and by the end of the movie, you're like, you know what? You're kind of cool, Shark Man. Let's do this. That that is peak. That is peak plot writing, and again, I'm just very excited to see where this goes. So, sort of like Don Don Don, I still haven't seen season 3 because a part of me just really wants to like have everything there, but having these things drip fed to me in the movie theater is definitely the way that I feel works best for me. So if this is the new echelon of anime, meaning that anime is anime, you can watch anime weekly, and if you have time for that, you can do that, and that's great, and we love that. And if I can, I will try doing that, marathoning whatever I can. But if the new premium tier, because we're thinking about Sony, we're thinking about how they operate as PlayStation, how they operate as a electronics department, TVs, audio systems, all that stuff. Sony. And if that all comes around, if this new echelon of premium anime is drip feeding us these episodic films, I can do that. I can do that. Final note. For the love of God, thank you for not charging the AMC stub members, pass hold members, for this movie. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You can watch this as many times as you freaking want, as long as you have your little pass thing or whatever. And I'm pretty sure that applies to any other Regal pass or any other movie club pass. Again, the whole shtick is that I just like that these anime films were getting imported tax or whatever you want to call it. Essentially, they're just getting, they weren't allowing, doesn't matter. Whatever it is, be it Crunchyroll, whether it be Sony, whether it be anything, let's stay on this track. I promise you, if you want people to lock in, just let them swing in, you know? So, all I know is that Chainsaw Man sold out of the Pochka popcorn maker guy, a little popcorn holder. It's actually kind of cute. And the collectible tickets, we get one from your entrance to the movie. They ran out by the time I got there. Remember that night of streaming Silent Hill on Thursday night? That is day zero of the movie launch. So you're telling me that on day zero, they ran out of the promotional material for the amount of people that were there to watch it on day zero. That's math right there. That's a lot of math right there. So we're on the right track. I hope it stays good. I understand that things are really rocky on the anime production side. People, well, nothing new there in terms of like people are not being treated well, but I do believe that there is a midsection. There's a way to make this happen, and if Sony's gonna be cool and play cool and be cool and for the love of God not overcharge for everything like they always do, then yeah, I really hope it works out for everyone, for all of us. So yeah, Chainsaw Man, lots of emotions, lots of interesting vibes. It continues to surprise me in terms of like how legit they are going with this scenario they're building, and adding more elements, keeping it like a mystery, but still being interesting. It never stops being interesting, and we'll see where they go from the future. So, looking forward to it. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? 4DX. I need to go look for that. If they have a 4DX motion thingamajiggy with the glasses, that is the premium. That is the way to go. That is the ultimate experience. So as I Google for that later on, definitely go check out Chainsaw Man. The Reze arc. Good stuff. 10 out of 10. You like, we like. Oh. Sorry to never do so. So, speaking of good boys.